I want to start with Joel. What are some of the technologies that you're seeing that are driving value for investors and operators? And you've already given us a little sneak preview, but
I'll make sure to touch on that a little bit more context. So we're focused on the energy monitoring space. That has a wide range of applications depending on what industry you're talking about. In the multifamily space, there are really a few directions, some cases, multiple applications of the same device within a facility. So first and foremost is submetering. So a lot of buildings that are pre-existing have a single master meter. They're not in a position to bill their tenants directly based on usage. We're trying to make that possible at scale, cost effectively. So typical monitoring solution, the majority of the cost actually goes towards the engineering side of it because there's line diagrams and you're going to be affecting the building, running conduit through different buildings into panels, different things like that. We're non-intrusive, which is very unique. So not only in the scoping side of it much simpler, it's also much faster to install. So we see cost of ownership reductions by about 90% in most cases for applications like submetering. So we're certainly enabling that. I'm actually got a lot of activity right now in the new construction space. That's one of my fastest growing channels in my business, but then the retrofit space as well. Similarly, you've got that data, whether it's for tenant spaces, whether it's for the common areas, from a preventative maintenance or predictive maintenance perspective, being able to identify where the facility is inefficient. All of that ultimately leads to ESG reporting and sustainability initiatives that a lot of the larger portfolio owners are trying to achieve. So if a tenant's not being billed, they don't necessarily have the same incentive to participate in energy reduction in the facility. So that's one way to shift that. There's a whole other set of multifamily properties where the utility is billing the tenants directly, and the property owner can't actually get an accurate perspective on what the building envelope looks like. So we, in that case, are coming in and helping with what's called shadow metering. And that shadow metering is giving them visibility to what an entire campus looks like at minimal added cost. So we're seeing that as a real driver for value. And it'd be interesting, I think this will work into a few other parts of the conversation, but it's not just Class A properties that are getting this assistance. It's actually enabling value creation for B and C portfolio properties as well. The backbone for all of this is an IoT network. We use LoRaWAN as the IoT network for our devices. I can go into more detail later if someone's interested why we use LoRaWAN specifically. LoRaWAN is Long Range Wide Area Network is what that stands for. But I think it's going to be more and more common for property managers and property owners to have to make sort of strategic decisions on which IoT networks they're going to introduce in the building. Residential, you see a bunch of Wi-Fi devices. That doesn't necessarily scale in a multifamily setting. So identifying what technology is sort of the IoT backbone to enable all the point devices and solutions that sit on top of that's a key decision to make. And then interoperability, ease of integration into existing systems and software platforms. We're API driven. We're really focused on being an enablement technology. So we don't do anything really from an end-to-end perspective. I collect data that no one else is going to be able to do cost effectively, and then I deliver that into applications that the end customer is looking to achieve.
So with that shadow monitoring, what value does that bring to a property owner to know that, hey, even though all of this is being billed out directly to everyone's there, why would they want to know what the entire property and envelope looks like?
So it's increasingly becoming challenging to raise funds for new portfolios without having these benchmarks and sort of year-over-year reporting. There's ways to estimate it. That's getting more and more scrutinized. The SEC drafted some proposed rules last year around ESG reporting requirements. That's going to be more and more stringent. We're doing a lot of work internationally as well. Europe's way ahead of us on sort of the mandate side around this and what the requirements are. But it's having sort of that ripple effect where, to go out and raise additional capital, you're having to demonstrate higher and higher verifiable documentation around what your current properties look like from an energy benchmarking perspective. Similarly, you have challenges in certain areas. Geographically, they have energy usage intensity requirements that may be mandated by the local government. And so being able to comply with that. Just be frank, the utilities don't typically help you with this. It's just, they'll cite PII and all sorts of stuff, and, if they would, it would make everyone's job a lot easier, but, organizations are having to find their own way to get that data.
They're so incentivized to help you spend less money with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see why they'd put up as many roadblocks as possible for you to be able to see
Yeah.
what's really getting used. And so with this type of technology, do you use the same thing whether you're doing a new build or a retrofit?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a one size
Absolutely,
fits all.
absolutely. So, it's super simple to install. For an apartment, we put this on the mains, feeding into that panel or sub-panel. Literally, we have hospitals and other, larger facilities. We do over 200 of these in a single afternoon. So, that you're thinking about projects that typically would have been sort of months of planning ahead of time and then multiple weeks on site where you're interrupting. It's like, hey, you may have your power cut off today because we're doing this floor and this floor today. We're non-intrusive, power never goes off, and we're in and out in the same day. So,
How long do the batteries last on something like that?
that's the cool part. I didn't even mention this.
Oh.
This is a self-harvesting device. So this powers itself. There's no battery inside it. It inductively charges the same way your
I did
iPhone
not know that. That was a good setup, but
Yeah.
I was just curious.
I try not to brag too much at these shows, so when it gets, it's a layup, I'll take you can get the assist on that one. So, no, it's
cool.
a self-powered device. That's what makes it so unique in the market. Just such an easy product to install.
All right. Well, this is not intended to be a commercial, but I think he's done a good job of being able to sell why this is important to be able to know what the power envelope is on your property, and hopefully you can see how that can benefit you for future planning, but also to be able to deliver value to your customers, the clients, the residents.